Welcome back to another episode of Knucklehead Garage. On this episode, we're going to be focusing on getting the roof from up here to down here. Stay tuned to see how we do it. In the previous episode, I detail out how we got to where we are today. Getting Rat Rob into the garage. Removing the rest of the glass that needs to be removed for the chop. Leveling the truck, which enabled me to lay out the lines of where I'm going to start cutting. I also talked about why I'm doing what I'm doing, specifically how much I'm taking out. And I'm going to highlight that again. The top of the rear windows here line up pretty well with the top of the side window. The bottom of the windows don't. And my goal here is to get the bottom of these windows to line up with the bottom of the side window. And I think that'll just look really cool. I did get a comment from someone, Whiskey Dents, saying, well, that's a pretty aggressive chop. And it is. But that's the motivation. In a previous episode, I actually showed a rendering, which I'll show again now, of what I think it's going to look like with that 6-inch chop. I'll make sure to share the links of this truck series so you guys can get up to speed. But I do want to give you a quick history of this truck and how I got it. This is an International 1951 or 52 L130, which is a 1-ton pickup truck, or was a 1-ton pickup truck. When I got it, it was actually a snowplow. It didn't even have a bed on it. I got this truck at the same time that I picked up my L110, which is a 1/2-ton pickup, 1952 International. And this green truck was the parts truck. And I used a lot of parts from this thing. I stole the radiator, the water pump, a bunch of interior parts, even some brake parts to get Wally, our yellow truck, up and running. My original intentions with this truck were pretty straightforward. Scavenge the parts that I needed to get Wally up and running, and then eventually probably just have it towed away for scrap. I did mention this in a very early episode, and I had a few people commenting, don't do that. There's still good parts on it. The rear axle is a 1-ton rear axle, very durable, could be used for something else. The engine itself probably is good enough to be rebuilt or even used as is. I even had one person reach out to me and wanted to just buy the whole truck. At that point, I hadn't taken all the parts off, I wasn't ready to sell it, but still I never had a vision for this truck. I never thought I would do anything with it. Until I came across this bed on Facebook Marketplace. This is a Ford F100, probably late 40s, early 50s, same exact era as this truck, 6-foot bed that someone had on a tow-behind trailer. And they had it up for sale, and I immediately drove up to New Hampshire to get it with my daughter. There's an episode on that as well. And really the real reason is the patina, the green patina, matches almost perfectly to Rat Rob. And from that point forward, I knew I had to use this bed in conjunction with this truck to do something. And I started looking at rat rods and chop tops and all that type of stuff. And the ball just started rolling. And that's how we got to where we are today. 2 things I've done since the last episode to get us ready for the cut. I have taped off these rear split windows, both inside and out. They're going to stay in the roof throughout the whole process, and I just want to protect them. The glass is pretty decent as is. As I'm cutting, grinding, welding, I want to make sure I don't damage any of the glass. The second thing I did is I added some structure inside the cab. And I did this just by using some angle iron that I had hanging around and just tacked things into place. And this is really so when I take the roof off, the cab doesn't tweak and do anything weird, and it stays in position so that when I put the roof back on, it hopefully lines up. All right, guys, enough talking, enough prep work. Let's chop this thing. I've got the back section cut, I'm coming to this tricky inside corner part. And what makes it tricky is that this is double walled and it's about 3, maybe 4 inches apart. I tried to use up to a 7-inch cutting blade to try to make at least an initial slice here so I have a reference of where to cut the rest, but that didn't cut it. No pun intended. So I came up with a way to try to transfer the point from outside in here. And I already did this on the other side, so I'm going to try to explain it. From the outside, I took the outside corner of the cut, I drilled a hole, and I took an awl, anything kind of pointy, and I lined it up to try to be level, of course, and then perpendicular to the tangent of the radius, if that makes sense. So just try to slice the radius exactly through the center. I've made an indent, which you can see, and then marked it with black marker. Now, I'm gonna go with the laser level again. Oh, it was just lined up, but basically gonna get the crosshairs on that mark, and that should give me the vertical line, which I'll tape, and the horizontal line, which I'll tape, and then I'll lower the laser again and try to get this line, which it looks like it's gone a little askew over here, try to get that lined up here so that just from the inside, I can make those final cuts, and they should line up pretty well to the outside. The roof is now definitely detached from the rest of the body. There was one little corner here that was still holding on. As soon as I got that through, I could actually lift it up. And I started to try to lift it up and see if I could manhandle it myself, which I think would be foolish. So I'm gonna try to get someone else to help me with that so I don't break the back glass or I don't do something else. I think what I'm gonna do is just lift it up and probably rest it on the bed for now. So I got to figure out how to get someone to help me with that. And then we'll be back on to cutting the rest of it and trying to get it back on so we can finalize the fit and start tacking it together. I'm also going to take a quick pause from this guy because our family, we're going to go do a photo shoot and we're going to bring Wally. It's a beautiful fall day out. We're going to travel 10 miles to a farm up the road and take our holiday pictures. It turned out great. The weather was perfect. We got there on time for the good sunset light. We definitely got some good holiday card pictures, which I'm not going to show quite yet. And of course, we got some obligatory goofy pictures as well. All right, we're out here. It's been a day. I've got my better half to help me here. We're going to try to lift the top off and put it on this piece of plywood back here. So should be simple. I'm going to get the far side. Ashley's going to get this side, and we're going to try to do it. Just okay, lift in that corner. Oh, yeah. What do you think?
I can't picture it.
What? What do you mean you can't picture that?
I'm just not good like that. But it's gonna be.
Are you gonna drive in it?
It's gonna be wild. Yeah, I think I'm the only one that's gonna fit in it.
We're ready for the next cut, and I just wanted to walk you guys through the next couple steps that we're going to go through to actually get the top back onto the truck. There are 3 main steps to achieve the roof chop of this truck. Number 1, cut the roof off. We've done that. Second step, which is what we're about to do, is we actually have to remove the material from the body, in our case 6 inches, so that when we lower the roof back down, we get that desired chop. Now this model does a good job of highlighting where the issue would arise if we did that and nothing else. We would see an offset in this A-pillar because of the 22-degree rake. And that's why we have to introduce step number 3, which is actually 2 parts. First part, cut the roof in half and move it forward to remove that offset. And of course, with a gap there, we're gonna have to fill it. And I've said previously, I don't want to add any new material to this truck. So I'm going to attempt to take material that I already removed from the back and weld it in here to extend the roof. Now that we've walked through the next couple steps, I can jump right into step number 2, which is cutting the 6 inches out and also salvaging a couple parts that we can use to extend the roof. I was able to get the roof on by myself, barely, and it is currently propped up in the front by a piece of wood. And I'm psyched. I think this looks good, even though it's not perfectly fit yet. The bottom of the windows look like they'll line up, which is exactly what I'm after. Now, the reason I can't do a better job lining it up right now is because I haven't cut the front A-pillar, which is the next step. And I got to do a little bit more work because for some reason, these guys aren't lining up, so I got to recheck my math. The good thing is I didn't cut it yet, so I didn't lose out on anything. The other two cool things are the piece that I cut out from here has the same profile that this does. So when I go to extend the roof, I'll be able to use this really no issue. I'm also psyched because the back band here that I cut out looks like it's going to fit perfectly on the top of the roof. Right now, this band section is actually biased to one side, but the curvature is actually really nice. It is a bit longer, so it's overhanging here. I don't want to cut it in half. I'll figure out if I cut an even amount on both ends and try to center it, or just rebend one side. But either way, definitely going to be able to use this when it comes time to extending the roof. So I've got a little more work to do. I have to figure out how much to take out of this A-pillar here and actually cut it out to enable a better fitment check of the roof back to the body. And specifically what I'll be looking for is how much am I going to have to extend the roof by? Once I get that done, I'll check back in with you guys and actually we'll be ready for step number 3, which is going to be laying out the cut and the extension of the roof. I went back and the original layout was definitely wrong, and I'm not sure what happened there, but I recalculated, taped it to where it should be minus a half of an inch, and I actually chopped out half of an inch less than I should ultimately need, and I did that just to be conservative because I don't want to cut it too short and then have to patch anything in. But that still enabled me to take the measurement of what I need for the roof extension, and I landed at 2 7/8 of an inch. And I must say, it was a little difficult to do that, a little less precise than what I was doing with the laser before, just because nothing's perfect right now. So I did a lot of double checking and triple checking, and that's where I landed. That allowed me to figure out how I want to cut the roof. And I was planning this Z pattern all along. The real reason there, I didn't want to just cut one big swath across the roof and lose all that structure there. So I made this middle part of the Z section 5 inches, so that when I cut the roof, there'll still be about a 2-inch overlap. And that should enable me to not even add the middle pieces and get everything tacked in and just see if it actually lines up. Once I did that, I was able to lay out the rest of the tape for the rooftop. I did use the band that I took off as a template because I'm not gonna recut a straight edge there. I'm just gonna use that on one side. And now I think I'm ready to actually do the cut. So I got to take the roof back off. I'm probably going to put it back here on the bed and do some chopping. So let's do it. Here it is mocked up after the roof is sliced. It is very precariously staying there somehow. I've got clamps on it. I actually have some PVC pipe in that A-pillar, trying to get some structure there. So it's not perfect, but I am able to determine that I do need to take some more height out here, which will come out of the A-pillars. And that's what I'm going to focus on now. I'm going to start whittling away this A-pillar and hopefully not take out too much to close the gap, which should enable us to actually tack this thing back together. I did have to take about a 1/2 inch out of the A-pillar on both sides, and it actually worked out because I was able to use that 1/2 inch to actually make the cuts on the top and the bottom line up. So those line up better now. I am at about 2 7/8 of an inch gap, which is exactly what I thought I would be. I did technically tack it into place in a couple spots, but there is actually a whole lot more work that I got to get done. You can see it looks like the roof lines don't match up too well from a height perspective, but I was playing around with it, and I think I'm definitely going to be able to get these things in shape with that strip of material. So that's one thing. As expected, not everything lines up. I've been playing around with clamping these to get these to line up, which I think is possible. I might have to make some relief cuts in some places. But overall, I am psyched with the progress. We were able to get the roof off, chop out that 6 inches, get the roof back on, figure out where we need to slice it and how much we're going to need to extend it. And that's going to be next episode. Next episode, we're going to try to get the roof into shape enough that we can turn our attention to the doors. Because obviously the doors do not fit. But I'm also really psyched to be able to kind of get a good idea of what this thing is going to look like with the 6-inch chop. So I appreciate you guys sticking around for this one. And as always, if you like this stuff, make sure you subscribe, share, like, comment, all that good stuff. And I will catch you on the next episode. See ya.